President Cyril Ramaphosa on Thursday evening delivers a much-anticipated State of the Nation address. As part of Newzroom Afrika's build-up to SONA 2025, our team is crisscrossing all 9 provinces, taking stock of what's been achieved since the dawn of democracy. Ziyanda Ngcobo is in Mpumalanga, Aldrin Sampear in Limpopo. Let's kick off at Ziyanda's live position. Ayanda, good morning again.
Thanks, Iman. And we're still outside the Mpumalanga High Court, just simply because there are 2 positive stories that one can reflect on today. It's this High Court, the first one since the dawn of democracy. You can imagine, Iman, that since 1994, only in 2019 then did the province of Mpumalanga get a High Court. And this is after the former Justice Minister, Michael Masuta, passed that Superior Courts Act 10 of 2013. It did take quite some time to actually complete this project after it was promised by former President Jacob Zuma in 2019, officially unveiled then by his successor, President Cyril Ramaphosa, in 2019. And this has assisted those seeking to access justice, Iman, because if a matter had to go to the High Court, residents of this province would have to travel all the way to Pretoria to have their matter heard, which also affected the backlog. And you'll know that even with cases related to gender-based violence, this has had an impact. On the other hand, Iman, we've also seen a university being built here in Mpumalanga, which has assisted those to also have access in this very province to tertiary education. It was a long time in the making, and at least with that project, when it was promised by the former President Jacob Zuma in 2013, by September of that year, construction did get underway. And let's listen to what our colleague Mweli Masilela put together regarding the impact since the building of that university.
The University of Mpumalanga started with only 169 students when it opened its doors in 2014. But 10 years later, enrollment has spiked to just over 10,000 students. Some of the students enrolled here say the establishment of the institution came as a huge relief, as they are no longer compelled to pursue studies outside of Mpumalanga.
Well, I won't lie. Growing up, I was a bit worried because the only universities you would hear about growing up in the early 2000s would be telling you about OUJ, VETS, the works, the ones that are well established. So when they said this university is established, I didn't know much about it till my late years after my matric. I learned about it in 2018. I was exceptionally happy about it, I won't lie.
It took some years for the university to build its reputation and become a university of choice for locals. The university only offered 3 programs when it started, but now it has 75 courses, meaning students are now spoiled for choice.
UMP have a lot of opportunities that is aligned with the UMP's slogan to say it's creating opportunities. And then while you come to UMP, this institution allows you to embody the values, mission, and the vision. So you become a graduate attribute that contributes to UMP society and outside the community of UMP.
When I came here back then, 2019, I enrolled for the Bachelor of Agriculture in Agricultural Extension. It was still under establishment. A few programs were not yet here, even including the PhD that I'm about to register for this year. It created quite a lot of opportunities for me. When I came in back then, I was privileged to work as a tutor, as a mentor, and as a resident student assistant, where last year I was awarded the House Committee Member of the Year during the co-curricular award ceremony.
In just my first year, I was top 12 for accounting, and we were given a chance to take part in the SARS mentorship program. Since I've been enrolled at UMP, I've been awarded 2 bursaries, one of which is the Vice Chancellor Scholarship, which is a prestigious scholarship here at the University of Mpumalanga. Just in my second year, I collaborated with international students, and we wrote an article about farming and sustainability. That article was actually published.
We are producing graduates who are responsive, who are responsible, and graduates who are critical thinkers, who are entrepreneurial and innovative, who are adaptable, and who are effective communicators. So that is our value proposition as the institution.
The university has achieved an excellent pass rate ranging from 80 to 85% over the years, and over 6,000 students have graduated since 2014. The Vice-Chancellor of the university, Professor Togomayegi, says their target is to enroll about 25,000 students once this tertiary institution is fully developed. The aim is to ensure that more young people are given a chance to pursue different fields of study in the next few years. For Newzroom Afrika on Channel 405, I'm Mweli Masilela in Bombela, Mpumalanga.
Mweli, Ziyanda, thank you so much. We go next to Aldrin, Sampear. Aldrin, to share with our viewers your live position this morning. Of course, you are in the province of Limpopo, where there have been a number of developments. We talked earlier about the historical significance of Polokwane. Tell us more about what you're finding out ahead of the SONA.
Yeah, and now the focus is, of course, around mining. A lot of people don't look at Limpopo as a mining province, but back in 2021, the then minister, well, still minister, I guess, of mineral resources, but then the minister of mineral resources and energy, Gwede Mantashe, saying that this particular province has the potential of becoming the third headquartered province for mining in the country. We know, of course, that the mining in Daba is kicking off today. That is taking place in Cape Town. A bit later on, we will be crossing over to Xolani Mbanja, who is at the mining in Daba. But our specific focus and where we are at now, right, is outside the Anglo smelters. It just gives you an idea of the number of jobs that are being created by the mining industry, around 90,000 jobs in this particular province, and mining contributes around 25% to the economy of this province. One of the mining companies that have actually invested in this province is Matengu Mine. They bought Sibanye Stillwater's Blue Ridge Platinum Mine, and they've invested around 3.3 billion rand. They also have another plant in the northwest where they are mining in chrome. So I met up with the CFO of Matengu Mine to speak about chrome mining in the Northwest Province, but also some of the broader logistical issues that they are facing as small mining companies especially, and one of those is related to logistics. Take a listen to that interview. So right now we are at the MG4 pit in Langpan, and the interesting thing for me, again, is we speak about small-scale mining, but nothing about this says small, looking at the equipment behind us.
So I think it depends on your definition of small, Aldrin. You know, when we look at the majors, you're talking big stakes in the market, like controlling a large share of market, billions of rands of revenue. Although this may look big, it is still quite small. But we're actually on our way to getting much bigger.
Yeah. What is it about small-scale mining that makes it the future?
So I think the one thing is that in South Africa, there's a lot of assets currently that the smaller miners can mine economically and that the majors can't. So if you think of the majors, they've got large overheads, big structures, and some of the assets you know, it's just uneconomical to overlay it with such a large overhead, etc. And I think those are the types of assets that are up for grabs for the smaller miners who can operate at the lower end of the cost curve and actually make it economic.
Yeah. But one of the challenges as well is, so the big miners have also been complaining about Transnet, and just in terms of logistics and moving the raw material all the way to our ports. Yeah. How do you guys work around that as a small-scale miner?
So I think infrastructure in mining in South Africa is a major issue. For us, a big part of our cost is logistics, and we don't use any rail to move our product. So our product goes from the mine here at Langpan to City Deep in Denver by truck on road, and then from there to the Durban port by truck on road again. So that's a large piece of the cost for us, which is the transport cost. And you know, we're unable to use any rail currently.
Would you like to see any changes in that sector, specifically to try and help small-scale miners?
Absolutely. I think an infrastructure that lowered the cost of production, ultimately, you know, the total cost, you would be able to put your product into the market at a lower price and be more competitive with countries who had a much lower logistics cost.
Yep. Another major issue in the country is this part around illicit mining, and we know about illicit chrome mining as well, which is a major issue in this country. How does that affect you guys, if it does affect you guys at all?
So I think as a group it does affect us. So currently on site here at Langpan, we're lucky enough that none of our boundaries, we don't neighbor public property. So all of our neighbors are large miners. And so because of that, you know, there's an added layer of security.
Almost insulated, yeah?
Yeah, exactly. But if you take one of our most recent acquisitions, Blue Ridge, for example, there's a huge illegal mining problem. And for us specifically, you know, we are working with the municipality, with the Elias Motsoaledi municipality, on a strategy to actually address illegal mining.
From a policy perspective, what is it that you think can possibly help to deal with that particular aspect around illicit mining?
Aldrin, that's a big can of worms. So for me personally, my view is that the number one cause of illegal mining is inequality in South Africa, poverty, unemployment. You know, those guys are just looking to put food on the table for their families. And so I think we got to start there at that macro level. That's the start of addressing illegal mining in South Africa.
Yeah. And then, because mining is not going anywhere in this country, it's not going anywhere in this country. No. What then do we say to the type of skills that are required for the future of mining in South Africa?
So I think, look, the mining industry currently is a huge contributor to GDP in South Africa. I don't have the latest stats on employment, but if you take, for example, that 1 million people are employed in mining, and I always like to work on this 10-to-1 dependency. So that feeds 10 million mouths. That's a large chunk of the population. And so mining is hugely important to the South African economy. And I think when you look at the diversity of commodities, the different professions, you know, engineering, geology, there's just a whole vast array of stuff. And so the scope for anyone to be involved in mining is absolutely huge.
It's absolutely huge. Tell us about what your balance sheet is looking like.
Is
it looking good?
It is looking good. It is the best that it's ever looked currently since we started, and it's getting stronger every day.
Yeah. What would you want to say then to people who want to get into mining but are saying that, listen, I believe that mining is a sunset industry, so there's no need to invest in mining. Also considering, of course, how capital intensive it is.
I think it depends which view you hold. As I mentioned, if it's feeding 10 million people, you can only imagine the tax revenue, the VAT revenue, the consumption expenditure of all of those people that goes back into the economy. And so I think with a little bit of, the right legislation, the right direction in terms of compliance, anything that instills confidence in not only the local investment community but the international investment community, I think there's huge potential for growth, but we got to take action. You know, we can't every 5 or 10 years say that we've missed the boat and just do nothing. You've got to start somewhere, and you won't see immediate results, but you just got to keep going.
Yeah. You got to start somewhere. So let's go and look at some of the operations across this mine and also see what this culmination between science as well as our mineral resources is able to give the world, not just this country, but the world. So what are we witnessing here?
So this process is basically the gravity separation of the water and the chrome from the ore. So you can see we've got roughly 32 banks of spirals here, and at a very high level This is a culmination of engineering, metallurgy, etc. And if you look at this plant, there's 208 cutters here, which means basically that there's 208 settings that the plant team adjusts based on the quality of the ore that is being fed. And that quality of ore varies depending on which pit we're mining in, how deep we're mining, whether there's a fault line running through the reef, etc.
I love me a hard hat environment. Aldrin, Sampear, thank you very much. Very informative, that piece on what's happening with small-scale mining and the prospects that they have in this economy. As Aldrin said there, our business editor, Xolani Mbanjwa, will talk to us a little bit later on. He is at the Investing in African Mining Conference, which kicks off today in Cape Town.